Check 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2. Check 1 2. Seems a little quieter than normal. I know, right? This is. I got a tune. Sorry, I've been busy. Hey, so while I say hellos and everybody says hellos, I'll get this thing tuned because this was tuned down a half step. I'm pretty sure I'm still down a half step. Yeah, still down a half step from when I was doing the Hendrix thing. You know the. I don't have the right sound up. We're gonna talk about. Do I need more light? I think we're okay. We're gonna talk about creating effects with a guitar. Not effects pedals. I almost put electric guitar effects, and then I realized people are going to think those are pedals. I'm probably going to change the name of this lesson at some point. Give me a second, because when you have a whammy bar, it's hard to just go up a little bit on every string and refine it. Some of these might work on acoustic, so it's going to be kind of a weird lesson. I don't know. Was I supposed to do something else? I forget. Roger, you doing well? I think I could. If I'm going to sit this far back, I might be able to wear my newer glasses. Maybe. Any of you see my new video I posted this morning? I haven't done the Neil Young one yet. I'm going to do it. I've got it mapped out. I've even done most of the graphics for it, which is really what takes the most time. So I'm just about there. I need to record the video. That's the only thing I need to do. And really what I need to do, to be honest, is to get a little bit more familiar with, I think, the 3 songs I'm going to play at the beginning, just to demonstrate his favorite groove. And then and then I've got, so on that, on the video I did of the kind of the review of the bouzouki, I did a little mini lesson on it too. So it's kind of fun. I don't know if you can find those used anywhere. I don't really see them anywhere. You might be able to enter bouzouki or Irish bouzouki at reverb.com and find some there. That might be kind of cool. I put a link in my, underneath the video where it takes you to some store. I think it was called Butler Music, actually, which I thought was funny. Butler Music, and they had one available. But I'm assuming if they sell that, they'll get more. And I may change that link if Goldtone actually puts up a link for if they have a store on Amazon. A lot of times the manufacturers won't do that because they don't want to compete with, even though they make much more money, because then they're not having to discount to retail. But they don't want to compete with the retail. It's kind of unfair. And it also comes with a really nice hard case. I forgot to mention that I think I typed it in there, but I didn't say anything. And I was going to say something, and I'm just winging it, kind of like what I'm doing right now. It's a little bit more organized than what I'm doing right now, but let's see. Oh, good. I'm glad. Yeah, Bruce, you saw it. Bruce saw it. I saw Bruce as Michelle, being gender fluid. Oh, you know what? The floating bridge, it hasn't moved. I've never taken the strings off. It's the original strings. One of the tricks, if you have a floating bridge, when you're changing strings, just change one string at a time. I learned that the hard way. Both of my 175s have floating bridges. My mandolin has a floating bridge, and the bouzouki has a floating bridge as well. But like I said, I haven't changed the strings on it. I thought about trying, and like I talked about in the video, I thought about trying to go with a lighter gauge on the top strings, this top string pair, and try to tune those Ds up to E's so I have a perfect octave below a mandolin. But it's literally 4 inches longer neck than an octave mandolin. So I'm just gonna have to buy an octave mandolin. I thought it could be too it could serve two purposes, but I don't think that's going to work. Oh, that's fine, Art. I'm glad you saw it. And then, you know, with my mandolin, I had my guitar tech, and you could totally do this. He put two white dots on two opposite corners of the bridge. So if I look down and the corners are not lined up with those white dots, then I need to loosen the strings and get them lined up and then tighten them back up. So I would do that with any floating bridge. He just used whiteout, which is still there. It's been there for years. And do you know who invented whiteout? I bet you, I know one of you know who invented it. And don't Google it. But it's pretty funny. And I heard a story about it just the other day, which I won't repeat, but Bonnie Lee. So Diane's here. Everybody's happy Diane's here. How many people do we have? And I normally when I, oh, here we go. 17. Okay, come on, we got to pump this up. Normally when I, if I had been in tune, I would have been doing some of the effects. And I think, and that's just one of the tricks. And that's not even a trick. That's just fading in chords. There was a time when one of the one of the things that guitar players that I didn't know how to do, and I saw a lot of guitar players doing them at going to see, you know, some of the session guys in clubs or sitting in on sessions or sitting next to them on a session. A lot of the top guitar guys would, you know, they would be playing, they would do something, and then all of a sudden they'd do something weird, and you're like, what the heck was that? And so a lot of guys, particularly Michael Thompson, I feel like he got known as that guy that kind of creates some effects and things that you wouldn't know were guitar. So kind of that's, the whale song, exactly. It's like, go with the neck pickup, turn off the tone. And I've got a lot of, so basically what I've got on right now, essentially just a lot of delay, ping-ponging delay. When the delays go back and forth, it's called ping-pong delay. And pretty long reverb. This is my bright, what I call a bright swell sound. This is what the patch is actually called, bright swells. I'm gonna probably open up a few of these. And it's easy to create different, you know, the brightness mostly comes from several things. The amp setting that I have is a very bright amp. I think it's like a Fender Twin with the bright switch turned on. The guitar I'm using is a Strat. That's also bright. And then on reverbs and delays, you can roll off the top end. Like typically, like they'll have a tone knob on a delay, and the reason you know, if you turn it all the way up, it's like there's no degradation. It's almost like a digital delay. There's no degradation of the tape. And what would happen is and I had tape delays back in the day. In high school, I had a tape delay. When the tape starts getting old, it starts getting more and more muffled. So to sound more, and so many records were made with tape delays that were getting the tape were old because rock stars, even well before they were rock stars, they didn't have any money, so that's just what they did. You know, they had old tape in their tape delays. And if you've ever seen the tape on a Space Echo, it's crazy. What's that called? Bruce, you might know what that's called, or Roger, when the tape is flowing free. Maybe that's what it's called, free flowing tape. But it's not going around a spindle like the one I had. I can't remember. Oh, it was oh dang it, I could see it. It's like Audio Vox, no, something Vox, and it had a tape that went around like this, and so the tape just kept. You basically can control the speed and the distance. The speed would control the distance between the echoes. It was a very, very analog system. And but so on most tape, whether it's plugins on your computer or delays for pedals or things like that, we'll maybe even have a bright switch. You can turn it to dark or bright, and that'll emulate more of a tape delay. And right now I have the brightness all the way up, so it stays bright. The whole point of that was to be able to do some higher stuff that it's just like, I don't know. And so that's why I call it bright delay or bright swells, because the swell's bright. Same thing with the reverb. You can roll off a lot of the top of the reverb, but this reverb is very, very bright. So if I pull up my sound that I call dark swells, I won't change my guitar sound at all. I'll duplicate. Let's see. Go to this, duplicate, pull down, go to effects, go across to. These are all ones I created. I've got several, but this one's called Dark Swells 2, so I'm not even sure which one this is, but. So the same thing I just did. A lot of times I'll have composers just ask me to add that to their score. Oops, sorry. There we go. So they may have a score and they just tell me the key. Yeah, and I can do. I can do an endless loop thing too. Daniel, you put together a list of questions about Vox for 5 for you. Oh, is Daniel there? So, but one of the so that's, so you can see it. It's much darker. The reverb is much darker. There's not a whole lot of reverb there, and the delays are not that. I can up all that. So if I take the delays and I go, right now they're at 50%, which is where I want it, but the repeats are not that much, so I'm going to take the repeats up. I've got the high cut all the way down to 2800 hertz, which if I open it wide up, it's 20,000 hertz. So that's a huge difference. It's very, very little of the sound is getting through. It's also, I have the left delay set at quarter notes and the right delay set at half notes. And then the reverb is pretty low mix. I'm going to bring it up, so now it's going to even. And if I take the mix all the way up, you won't, part of the reason. If I take the mix all the way up, it almost sounds like a synthesizer. You really get very little of the guitar. For example, if I took the mix all the way up and just go ahead and strum the guitar, then you will hear, you really don't hear the pick and the string contact. If I put that back down to say 30%-ish, then you would hear. But if I swell it, so I'm using a volume pedal to swell it in. Then it's a little bit more ambivalent. But when I'm doing that, one of the things I have to do is I have to kind of be ahead of the game a little bit. So, so if I want to, if the chord changes here, I've got to, you know, be ahead of it so that the chord lands. That was something that took a while, because what would normally happen is I'd wait until the chord changed, and then I hit the chord, and my delays would be way late. And that was one of the things that Kook kind of taught me. He was like, no, you got to get there beforehand. So. But back when I was first starting out doing, you know, really trying to get into session work, one of the things I did was I created a list of special effects. A lot of them involving the whammy bar and stuff. And I typed them up and printed them up. And it's like, this was in my wallet. And I hadn't seen this in years. I forgot it was even in there. It's just a little teeny piece of paper with that's like size 5 font, I think. And the first one is one that Michael Thompson showed me. And it's, again, the same thing with the delays. You got to have the delays going. I'm going to go back to my bright delay here. So this is what it sounds like. And he would do this thing. And I'm going to do it once, and I'm going to have to retune the guitar. It never fails. But it's kind of one of those things where you might want to tell the engineer, okay, I'm going to do this, but then we're going to take a break. So I got my heel down on my pedal. Okay, so my volume pedal is off. Okay. I'm going to pull my whammy bar down like this, so the strings are loose, okay? So that's where it's all going to go out of tune. I'm going to strum behind the nut, and then let the whammy bar go at the same time with the volume pedal. You can even go back down if you want. So it's like start down. Kind of creepy. Kind of creepy sounding. So now I got a tune though, because it's like, I guarantee you, you can pull back a little bit and that should get them mostly the way there. Well, oh, this one went out. Did anything go out from under the, no, okay. Everything's in the, okay. The G string's a little flat. Could you hear that? Hey, I got a question. Anybody keeping track of what I'm teaching on? Somebody hit me up with a message. Have I done the pentatonic shapes? Have I talked about all 5? I think I talked about them in the context of, oh yeah, we've talked about pentatonic shapes. The 5 shapes. I'm pretty sure we've talked about that. But we can do that soon. Oh, I don't think DK's here today, but he said he was going to be here maybe later this week. So I'm back in tune. That wasn't too bad. So that was one of them. Let's see, what's another one? Bounce. Oh yeah, this one is what I do. I'll still do this one every now and then in church on ballads, and mainly just to get a rise out of Walter. So if I do that, if I do this effect, Walter will start looking up at the sky like he's looking at pixie dust falling on him. And basically what you do is I've got the toe down now, so everything's up, and I've got it set to the pickup, the bridge pickup. Okay, so if I put my pick in front of the bridge pickup, then it's going to create, if I'm going to, like that, it's going to create a pitch. If I go behind it, because I got my hand muting the strings, because I don't want a lot of noise, like that. So I mute the strings with my left hand, and then I just, it's like pixie dust. So that's my pixie dust. Can you hear that at all? Okay, so maybe I'll just do lessons on, yeah, right? I think you're right, Bonnie, though. I think I did talk a lot about pentatonic shapes when I was talking about, I talked about specific pentatonic shapes that went with the caged shapes. But what I could do is we could do a lesson on the 5 pentatonic scales and really kind of hone those. I've been doing that with my intro to improvisation because teaching a new scale every time. But the problem with that is that they weren't getting enough views to really justify doing them. But I can do them again. I just have just been a while. Somebody emailed me and said, "Would you do that? I really like it. I've gone all I think 8 or 9 of them, and I'd love to go further." And my thinking was that people would replay them over and over again just to jam along with them. Yeah, I did talk about open scales and caged. Okay. Talking. And you notice again, I'm muting the string. Because if I don't mute the string, you're going to hear a lot of ringing things that you don't want. Okay. Another thing, let's see. Oh yeah, another one is like to create like a tight voiced chord. Like say. So I've got the heel down on my pedal. And so I bring the volume, I push down the bar and I bring the volume down at the same time as I release the bar. And I usually do some kind of tight voicing. Like that first one I played was a kind of a D major 7. The other thing I threatened to talk about was the drop 2 chords. I always threaten to do lessons on that. But I feel like it's just not a beginner thing. So that voicing, that D major 7, it's cool. It's a really nice, tight voicings like normally are pretty easy on piano, but they're difficult on guitar. And this one's not easy. X 4635, I believe. Yep. So I'm put for this, and that just sounds good. That just sounds good with the without doing the downward. I also do have a compressor in after my volume pedal. That does give you a little more sustain. If I were playing live and it was a lot louder, I probably wouldn't have that compressor on because I would get sustained from the volume. But I'm not that loud in here. I don't want to be that loud in here if I don't have to. So I got my second finger on the 4th fret of the 4th string. Pinky is on the 6th fret of the 3rd string. First finger is on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and this is the hard one in some ways to get that 3rd finger on the 5th fret of the 1st string. Although you could put it instead here, and that's nice. I don't think I played this chord before. I like that. So that's also D major 7, but instead of, or no, it's a D major 9th because I got an E in it. And that was just harmonics. And you know, I mean, more than anything, it's just just to get people to look at you. You know, it's a pure attention grabbing device. Because I can't get enough attention. I'm an attention hog. That's why I do this. That's why I'm sitting here. Oh, Jeff Beck uses this kind of stuff all the time. He's a freaking genius on it, and I should try to come up with something. In fact, there's one I'm going to show you that I got from Jeff Beck that's really, really cool, and I used it in a song. I've used it a few times, and people are like, "What the F?" So I'll show you that one. I have to have a different tone up. Let's see. I'll give you some others. Most of these are ones I came up with. Well, pick gliss. That's a real common one. I need gain for that. So let me pull up a gainy sound. I'm going to have to turn down my volume. Okay, let's get super gain here. I'm just gonna load. I got a reply. Shoot, I got a reply to Amplitude. I emailed them on Thursday because I thought I bought like the Amplitude Complete, but we hardly had anything in it, and they told me to that they gave me a link to a thing I could buy, and I talked to them at the NAMM show about it, and they were like, you should have had more. So they gave me a link where I could buy stuff. I think they were saying they could totally give me some stuff, but I kind of, I don't mind buying it if it's a good company. They make great sounding stuff. I don't mind giving them money. I mean, they're like, well, you could do a video, and I also kind of don't want to be obligated to do videos on stuff. I'm not really known for that kind of review, but let's see. Let me get like a 90s rock solo sound here. I gotta enable the channel. Wow, that's bright. Let me try the 80s. Let's go to the 80s. That, you've heard that a million times, and that's a pickless. There's different ways you can do it too. But basically all I'm doing is, and again, I'm muting the strings because I don't want things. When an amp is really, really loud, it can be like trying to tame a roaring tiger. So if you keep your hand on it, you've heard that on 1,000 rock tunes, and you can start in different places. Eddie did it. You can do different speeds, but basically there's a lot of gain. A lot of gain. Yeah, he definitely, but there's I think you could probably predate Boston, before that was, I think Boston, what year did that record come out? Because he did it, and that was before Eddie Van Halen was 78 and Boston was 76, I think. So yeah, but and it wasn't, although when I heard it on Boston album, it was probably the first time I ever heard it featured. It was probably in solos, but they definitely featured it in songs. And then you can also go up. You can chop it. You can also push down, so you're getting more fret sound. So you get that kind of sound, but with the scrape. So there's a lot of ways you can do that. I'll do it as a joke more than anything. Oh, and that's the other thing you got to get good at. If you're going to do the pickless, you got to get good at ending with a chord. You got to have a chord ready. Now, you may be... Things they don't teach you at GIT or at music school. It's funny though, because the first time you go, oh, I want to end a song that way and hit the last chord, you do it and you totally flub up and you're like, oh wait, that's something I need to practice? It's totally that kind of thing. Yeah, this sound. That's just a stock setting. That's the this is Guitar Rig, which is Native Instruments. It's the 80s solo. It's a great set, and everything's turned on here. Basically, noise gate, because it's very hissy. A Marshall amp, a mixer with multiple speakers and multiple microphones and stuff. Psycho delay, or psych delay. So it's got the delay kind of bouncing around, random. And then there's also a tube screamer in line with the volume cranked on it. So, but everything's adjustable. I really use amplitude. I use Guitar Rig all the time. So, and I'm hoping I'm gonna download a big set of sounds from Amplitude, but I want to pay for it. I don't want them to give it to me. Okay, so let's see. What was another one here? Pickless. Oh yeah. Okay, I'm gonna have to hold on a second. I'm gonna have to mute. And I'm gonna disappear. I'm gonna disappear. I have to go on. I gotta plug in my wah. I don't have my wah plugged in. So hold on a second. It's just I'm just going. I'm just going down here. This is okay. Hold on. Bye. Oh, let's see. Oh, I'm still hooked in. Okay, so now I have my wah engaged. My wah is, the wah I'm using is the Voodoo Lab Wazoo. My favorite wah is the one that's in my Lexicon rig. I love the sound of that, and it reminds me a lot of my original Dunlop wah, which broke, and I've never been able to find one that sounds like that, so I'm really frustrated with my wah sound. But this wazoo is pretty cool. It's got a lot of options. So one thing you can do is, if you've got a wah, I usually go to my neck pickup for this sound, and I will use the wah, and it's kind of like, I don't know, wind. I don't know how to explain the sound. It also works on clean sounds, but here's, I got to. That's pretty gainy. Let me go with a little bit cleaner sound. I'll go ahead and load in this amplitude patch that I have saved. Yep. Here, where is it? Right there. Okay. It's going to take a minute to load. And this one's it's kind of a cool sound, right? Let me get more volume on this. There we go. I mean, I could do a whole lesson on wah stuff. I love wah effects. I use wahs a lot. Even today, I use wah a lot for what I call filter stuff, because filtering things is so common in pop music now that I find that it sounds really cool if you're going to do a that's with a really gainy sound. So I'm just cradling the wah slowly back and forth to kind of create a filter. So here's that. That's the amplitude. It sounds really good. So I'm looking forward to getting a lot more plugins than it comes with, or that what I got that it came with. I feel like I'm too dark. I'm gonna go ahead and move. I was filming yesterday, so I aimed the light at the ceiling. But normally when I'm doing this, I aim the light at me. And I'm trying not to knock all my picks on the floor. If I knock that thing of picks on the floor, how many sips is that? All right, let's see. I didn't leave the room. Yet again, I left the picture, but I didn't leave the room. That's better. I don't look so dark. It was dark in here. And of course, there will not be a quiz on any of this. So there won't be a quiz on this. Let's see, what else? Yeah, I did that. Slide fourths around. With compression and echo. Slide fourths around. One thing I like to do is with a lot of delay. This is a cool one. I'm giving away. These are secrets, man. These are like, this is stuff that I use to, like guys be like, wow, I'm gonna call that guy because he makes all the sounds. Okay, so we're back to the dark swell sound. Okay, so hear that. What I like to do, say a song is in C. So some of these I have to talk about theory. Some of them are not just noises. Some of them you have to actually kind of know a pitch or something that you're doing. So if we're in C, okay, if we look at the C major scale, we have whole, whole, half, whole, any major scale. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Okay, so we have whole, I'm going to write it out, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Those are the intervals that manufacture that create a major scale. Any of those whole steps you can slide between. So for example, we have C to D is a whole step, D to E is a whole step, F to G is a whole step, G to A is a whole step, and A to B in the key of C. These are all whole steps in the key of C. So maybe I could do this. I can create like a piano. I got a lot of stuff on my keyboard. I haven't played piano in like a week. Let's see here. Let's just grab a piano. Bosendorfer. Yeah, sure, why not? I'll have a Bosendorfer. Okay. Although that may not be the best thing to do, but we'll try it. See how it works. Okay. I can add a beat to it. No, that's an awful beat, isn't it? That's an awful beat. Hand claps. No. It's too fast. I don't like it. Oh, I could go halftime maybe. No. Anyway, I'm not going to do a beat. So I've got a C chord there, and so here's what these sound like. If I go back and forth, I'm just going to use a pad. Pad makes more sense. Go to synthesizers, pads. That's the problem. There's a billion pads. Mercury Lake. I have no idea what this is going to sound like. I'm going to regret it. I knew I was going to regret that. Metallic Waves. Nightfall. Okay, that's not bad. And I can lengthen this out. So we don't have to listen to the oscillation as much. But all right. So the whole point of this is to have something to play against. All right. So hopefully it won't get too weird. So I'm going to go to my dark swells. Oh, weird. It does get weird. Yeah, see, it's not a pure pad. It's got like this weird infinity pad. That's got to be the right one, right? Oh yeah. Of course, it's gonna oscillate. That's all right. It's not too bad. You hear that? Now, I'm using my neck pickup. So that's A to G. So that's the sixth. It's actually a really great way to kind of determine what would be a good one. Like a good one would be the D to E, because you're going to the major. You're getting that. So there's G to A. That's the 2 to the 3, so that's B to. I could do the C. The higher one is better. C to D, the 1 to the 2. The 4 to the 5 is a little weird because there's an E in that chord, so that F kind of sounds a little weird. But I'm going F to G, and I'm volume. So I'm starting the slide like this, and then volume up with my volume pedal. And I got delays and reverb on here. I can't believe I got 35 people watching me make noises. Now Now, I told you we had 5 whole steps in any major key, right? Isn't that what I wrote? Oh my gosh, it's way up there. You guys are having a conversation, man. C, D, D, E, F, G, A, G, G, A, and A, B. We have 2 half steps, okay? The half steps are E to F. Oops, gotta click in the window here. E to F and B to C. Those are our 2 half steps in the key of C. With those, I don't slide, I bend. So check this out. So I'm bending this E to F. And you've heard that sound. Oh, talk about wax buildup in ears. That's one problem I never have. I'm deaf, but it's not anything to do with wax, unfortunately. I wish it were wax. Then it would go away when my ears would come back. Now, if I wanted to go, like if I wanted to imply a C Lydian, I could go F sharp to G. That's really cool, huh? And again, I'm pedaling in with, if I didn't pedal in, it would sound like this. Right? And that's just not, you want it to not sound like a guitar. So when you don't have a volume pedal, people have asked me, and they get mad when I answer it, but they said, what's the most important pedal? What should be the first pedal I get? And I always tell them volume pedal. And they're like, no, I mean, I thought you meant like the tube screamer, you know. And I'm like, no, volume pedal. That's pretty much, for me, like, if I could only have one pedal, I'd probably have a volume pedal. Because there's so much you can do with the volume pedal, aside from the swells. Even if I didn't have reverb or delay, I could still create swells. If I just pull up like if my amp was really gainy, you know, I could do it with this, you know. Oh, it won't. I got the noise gate on, so it won't work. But, you know, you can still create swells. But the other thing I can do with volume pedals, I can get different levels of distortion, different amounts of gain. So it cleans up. If I'm using my volume pedal as kind of a volume knob on my guitar. But then if I go all the way toe down, then I get all the full amount of level going to the amplifier. So you can definitely use a volume pedal in that way too. And then you can also do, you know. I've seen people do that with their volume knob too. So mine's really crunchy. And compression only brings that out. Oh, hey, Chimichanga. I am using, right now, I'm using like my 15th Ernie Ball volume pedal. And I would have a different one. Actually, I need to order one of the Boss ones. I had a friend said, oh, I can get you them for free. And then he never did. And so I kind of forgot about that. But just the Ernie, and this one's an Ernie Ball Jr., I think. A VP Jr. But I break them. I use so much volume pedal that I break them all the time. So I've got like 5 of them that I could send back to the factory and they'd fix and send back to me. But it's just such a headache. It's easier to drive over to Guitar Center and get a new one. Because what happens invariably is it breaks while I'm working. And I had one. In fact, I had one break when I was in Louisville. I took a volume pedal Junior, VP Junior, to Louisville, and it was brand new, and the cable broke on it. I don't really like the design, but the feel is good. But and the keyboard player, they had a bunch of stuff there that they brought for the back line, and they had an extra volume, a Boss volume pedal, I think, a Roland volume pedal, and I used it, and it was great. I'm like, oh man, I gotta get one. And then the keyboard player I was playing with, he was the guy that hired me. He said, oh well, shoot, I've got an endorsement deal with them. I can get you one, and then we just never took advantage of that. But yeah, you know, Hendrix. Although Hendrix, I imagine, would probably. I mean, he was on the cutting edge, wasn't he? He was using all of the tools at the time. that they had, and he was using them. In fact, I was just reading about, because I just did for a TV show that is coming out at some point, I did a sound-alike for All Along the Watchtower. And so I did some research on it. And apparently it was originally recorded on a 4-track, and then they moved it to an 8-track, and then 12-track, and then they went to 16-track, because he kept wanting to change the guitar solo on it. So that was pretty fascinating. That's why this guitar, when I started this lesson, was tuned down a half step, because I was playing the of course it's in C. That intro, that's all I really had. I had to play drums, program drums, and bass. I had to play the bass. That took a long time. Because Hendrix on All Along the Watchtower played the bass part. It's a very busy bass part. But it's iconic, and once I got it down and in there, it took me a couple hours, it made the song sound so much better. So I was glad I did it. 12-string actually was played by Dave Mason, who somebody told me that there's a Dave Mason version of All Along the Watchtower that's really good. I have yet to listen to it. It's on my list to do, trust me. So I'm using a Ernie ball, and there's really good expensive ones too you can get. There's optical ones too, which really have very few moving parts, so you really probably would last forever. Okay, Dennis, I'll see you in a minute. So Dennis is going to go sit down with the missus on his phone. We do have a drinking game, and if I touch my face, we all have to take a sip, so make sure you have libations handy. Of course, my libation of choice is Starbucks. I should be getting a royalty from them, for goodness sake. It's like 1 2-hour long advertisement for Starbucks. So let's see. I'm just talking about special effects that you can do with the guitar. Not so much with effects pedals. I'm not talking about pedals so much, although I'm currently using on a lot of these sounds. I'm using a lot of delay, a lot of reverb. Like my dark swells, bright swells, gains, things like that. Okay, what's another one here? Another one you can do is fourth. Okay, so remember in our key of C, here I'll go back to this. We have the notes that are the whole steps. Again, we have C to D, D to E, F to G, G to A, and A to B. Oh, I didn't do A to B. That's kind of a cool one. I'm going to roll off the tone on my bridge neck pickup, and I'm going to do fourths. So I'm going to do the G to A and the C to D. So it's just these two. You can see that. So one note would sound like this. Two. I could also do fifths. Could go up. So that kind of creates kind of to me, it sounds like space, right? It sounds like a little reminiscent of, to me, a little bit like, who did Take the Money and Run? Steve Miller Band. A little bit like Steve Miller would do that kind of stuff sometimes, right? He would do, and that's with a dark, might call my dark swells, dark delays, dark reverb, dark amp. Here's the bright. Oh, that's the bright. Sorry, I turned the tone knob off. So I can create a dark swells just by turning the tone knob. And then here's the bright. Here's what it sounds like. Yep, Steve Miller. It does remind me of Steve Miller a little bit. And then you can do fourths, fifths. Now I'll also use like EBow too for this. EBow, what the great thing about EBow is it just keeps the string ringing forever. So, you know, when I do this, I'm eventually going to run out of juice. Part of the reason why I'm going back and forth between two notes is to keep the string vibrating so it lasts a little longer than just... And that's because I've got a lot of delay on here. But if I... See, I can keep it going for a long time. All right, let's see what else I have here on my little list that I've carried around for 30 years in my wallet. Or maybe not quite that. We Swallow the Lizard. Alex hates this one. And this is a Joe Satriani trick. He didn't show me this one, but I saw it in one of his videos or something. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to go with a big gain sound. I'm going to have to turn down though because it's freaking huge. Right? And there's delay and reverb on there too. Not too much reverb, but quite a bit of delay. Okay. So the Swallow the Lizard, it's an awful name. I think that's why Alex hates it, more the name. But the sound isn't very good either. And I've never ever used this, but I wrote it down there because I thought it was kind of funny. So the whole premise of Swallow the Lizard is you take a note and you move up the neck on that string like that, okay? At the same time you push down on the bar. So the goal is to have the pitch not change. So you're sliding the finger up, but you're bending the bar down, and so the string loosens and the pitch doesn't change. The idea is that you hear the frets, but you don't hear any pitch change, and it's weird. If you get it down, it's kind of cool. Let's see. I think. Isn't that weird? There it is. Yeah. Well, there's others that, you know, more standard. I don't think I even have written here. Chord swells. Okay, I've done that. Big Ben. Okay, so I came up with this one, kind of to sound like a church bell. I don't know that I ever had any requests for it, but I decided, hey, you know, it's all part of being creative. It's 100%. And the thing I just love being creative. You know that. And I spend my whole day being creative. I mean, if I'm not doing sessions for other people, I'm writing music for TV or for producers. And I always say the way I write music is I just sit down and start writing. And if it's something that's derivative, I send it to, if it sounds like Tom Petty or sounds like the Beatles or sounds like Stones or sounds like, you know, some, you know, bluegrass thing or whatever, I'll send that to the TV shows because they'll use that kind of stuff all day long. And if it's totally unique and nothing I've ever heard, I kind of go, I maybe try to refine it, maybe take it in the pop direction, but I will send those oftentimes to my pop producers that I work with. In fact, I've got to send some stuff out today to somebody that requested something. So it's a great place to be mentally every day, thinking creatively. There's is it David Sillers? David Sillers is what's this guy's name? I just sent let's see. I think it's free. The guy that started CD Baby wrote a book. And I don't see it here. There's a PDF floating around, and it's about marketing music. And he made a great point. He said, "You're creative when you write a song. You're creative when you record a song. When you mic it, when you mix it, you record. When you come up with the guitar parts, the bass parts, the drum parts, the keyboard parts. You're creative when you sing it. You're creative, all this stuff. You're creative when you mix it. You're creative when you master it. You're creative when you do the artwork. Why do you just market something the same way everybody else markets? And he says, be as creative in your marketing as you are in everything else. And it's great advice. And in other words, don't turn off that creative engine when you're not, just because you don't think you're doing something that's supposed to be creative. And so that's kind of why, other lessons. You never did a lesson on the 5 pedal. Okay. Nope, I will do that. I will do that, Jim. Maybe I'll start that on Wednesday. This is just because this is like a filler thing. I can't believe how many people. I can't believe there are 38 people watching right now. But anyway, but that was a great advice, and I sent a copy of the book to my son to read, and because he's got a band and all that stuff. So. Yeah, pentatonic. The blues scale is basically pentatonic with one note added. Technically, I mean, if you want to add a second, you could add a second pentatonic, just to talk about that. But like, sorry, my volume pedal is over here. That's why I'm facing that way. Let me move it a little bit. There we go. So if I just take the bottom 3 strings of a basic pentatonic scale, the real blues note is this one in here. So it'd be 1, 4, 1, 2, 3, and then you could put another note, another passing note from the 7th to the root. Right. Now, technically, Watchman, you're correct. If you're just talking about the flat 5, then it is true. There's another one up here. So you do have some pentatonics. You might actually have 3 flat 5s in the shape. In fact, this one here would have. So yeah, that's so. But if I do a lesson, when I do a lesson, I'll probably just do pentatonic. Just the 5 notes and not do the blues versions of them yet. Maybe then I'll go back and do another 5 lessons on the 5 blues. So we'll talk about that and then maybe come up with some licks in each one of the shapes. So every day will be a different shape with some licks and things like that you can use. Or I may even come up with examples from history of rock kind of thing using those scales. That's not unusual. That's not hard to do actually. So I'll do that. I'll start on that on Wednesday if I can do a lesson. If I can't do a lesson, I'll try to post on every vehicle I have. I think I've got YouTube. The community. I don't know if anybody looks at that, but I think you get notifications if I post something, so that's good. Also the Facebook group, and then also the Discord. Oh, by the way, and there are no uploads today, but I'll post a link to the Discord. So that if you want to join, all of my PDFs that I create are all up there for free at the Discord. And I'm going to give you a link that's only going to be good. Sorry if you're watching this later. It's only going to be good for a little while. I could do a permanent link, but my thinking is that that's probably not a good idea for whatever reason. I think that's right, Dennis, right? I shouldn't post a permanent link. I will if you say I will. I can. It's Dennis's actual page. That's part of the reason why I don't post a permanent link, because it's not technically my page. So where was I? I was talking about, let's see, Swell the Lizard. Oh, Big Ben. Oh, we didn't do Big Ben. Okay, so Big Ben is get that sound up. Let's see, I'm going to go with my dark swells. Yeah. I'm going to go with my neck, my bridge pickup, I think, okay? I'm going to make a chord. It's not any chord I even want to give a name to. It's just a random, you can, the more dissonant you can make it, the better. So I'm going to go 1 0 1 0 1 0. That's the chord. Okay? Or you go, actually, let's go, that's 1, or you go 0 1 0 1 0 1. Okay? You could also do something like 4 0 4 0, but the idea 4 0 4 0 is cool. The idea is to come up with a very dissonant chord, okay? And I'm actually going to switch to my bright, I think, because I think you'll be able to hear it better if I do it. Okay. So again, I've got lots of delay on, lots of delay, and lots of reverb, and a very bright guitar amp. And generally what I do is I take the whammy bar out, and I make that chord. So I'm doing the 4-0-4-0-4-0 chord, and then I usually hit the guitar right here. Actually, you know what I usually use is a slide, and I don't have. Oh yeah, I could do this too. I forgot about that. Let's see. I don't have my slides in my gig bag, so this is a pretty heavy slide. It's not really working like I want it to. Let's see. Maybe if I go with a big gain sound. Let me go with a gainier sound. Let's go with this one. Yeah, that's better. Here we go with the fours. Here's the fours. Oh, yeah. I mean, that just sounds... It just actually sounds pretty darn legit. I'll tell you who was really good at sounds was the guy from... the guitar player from King Crimson, or one of them. Who was the guy that made all the sounds? Somebody's going to know that, because I've got a brain trust here that is not my brain. Yeah, it sounds like a church bell. So I'm going 4-0-4-0-4-0. And then this is pretty heavy. This is it's not a Stevens bar, but you might break your neck. I don't know. It's not even denting this, but these are, no, not Fripp, but I'm going to show you a Fripp thing. Dang it, what was his name? Shoot. Now I got to look it up, because now I see Google is bad because it makes us not remember stuff, because we always go, oh, we can look it up. Now, before I can find it, somebody's going to post it. I guarantee it. Unless I'm totally misremembering the members. Come on. Adrian Ballou. Adrian Ballou. Did somebody say that? Not Greg Lake. No. Adrian Ballou. Adrian Ballou, if you look him up, he does some crazy sounds. He does whale calls and stuff like that. Oh, good. I'm glad you learned something today. So that's my bell, Big Ben. Okay. The Upchurch Trickle. The Upchurch Trickle. This was something that I got from, and let me create another patch. Kind of a clean, I'm going to go with a clean guitar sound, but I'm going to add delay to it. So I'm going to go with, you know what, maybe let's see if I have, do I have a George Benson sound alikes? Do I have George Benson? I don't see it. So let's see, clean. Let me just go with a clean sound then. Maybe it's in there. No. But I'm just going to go with kind of a standard basic clean sound. Okay, there's some decent amount of reverb on there, but I'm going to add, I'm just going to add a tape delay. Okay, so that's going to be single repeat, mono. I'm going to go maybe to eighth notes. Yeah, eighth notes. I'm going to go with quite a bit of feedback. Hear that? I'm going to bring the wet up. Okay. And then I'll see what I'm talking about with this one is if I take the high cut down, it makes it sound like old tape. Okay. So I've got a basically clean sound with delay, a lot of delay. And I'm going to turn on the wah. And this is what Phil Upchurch would do behind. It's a very common funk, disco, R&B thing to do. And that would be to take your wah pedal and just go. Oh, I got to turn off this, compressors. And all I'm doing is I'm doing a wah pedal while I'm, if I didn't do the wah pedal, it would sound like this, which also kind of works. But the wah just makes it more kind of space agey, pseudo, kind of reminds me a lot of Esquivel, you know, like kind of the Esquivel. If you're not familiar with Esquivel, the like miniskirt, the song miniskirt, very, very 60s space age bachelor pad music. It's a legitimate, like total legit genre back in the 60s. With lots of, he was Brazilian, I believe, and so it was a lot of bossa novas and things like that, but then they would use vocals like horn sections, and they would use horn sections, and they would, you know, all sorts of Rhodes and a lot of guitar stuff. It was very fun. Jimmy hit on that too, you're right. Yeah, phasers on stun, that's another one, but that would be more of an effect. I'm trying to do things that are less, I mean, obviously I'm using reverb and delays, but that's just make things last longer. Okay, so, okay, I can close the Wikipedia page now that I figured out who the heck I was trying to think of. What's next on my list? So that's, I call the filled up church trickle. I heard it a few times on George Benson's Weekend in LA. It's a double album, and I basically wore it out. I probably went through 2 of them, and so Phil Upchurch, and then I saw Phil Upchurch play live here in LA one time, and he was a great soloist, but you never hear him solo on the Benson stuff. But he did that, you know, sound live, and I saw how he did it. So, oh, Morse code. Oh yeah, I forgot. That's another thing you can do. So another little trick is you can go to the bridge pickup and just push the string into the pickup. Again, I'm using a Strat. If I did something with more gain, this could get insane, but let me go with a... Okay, let's see what it sounds like on this series. So that's my Morse code. So if I ever want to send a message to the drummer, that's it. Oh, see you, Kathy. Sorry. So Pentatonics on Wednesday. Oh my gosh. All right. So let's see. What's another one? So that's Morse code. Did you get that one? Did you see how I did that? I'm just literally pushing the string down into the, like that, and just touching. And I got delay on. If I didn't have delay on, it would sound probably more legit. Let me turn off the delay for a second here. SOS. Okay, so, and that sounds more on the sender side than on the receiver side, if that makes sense. All right, now what's next on this little piece of paper? And Morse code. Oh, the 3 Bs. Oh, this one is crazy. This one is definitely a secret. I came up with this on my own. And I'm going to use a very gainy sound. I'm going to use my... Harmonics come out better when you use your bridge pickup, okay? You can always get the octave with the neck pickup. But those don't come out as good as they do. Okay, so I noticed that there were 3 Bs that I could get harmonics for. I can get a B here, because one day I was mapping out I was writing them all out on on staff paper. I was going, oh, this B up here, octave up, whatever, is this harmonic of the first string on the 7th fret. So there's a harmonic on the 7th fret of the first string is a B. Okay, the next good. I'm going to check. Oh, so check out the photos on the Discord site of the cigar box guitar that Bruce is building for me. There's also another B here. Speaking of C, B, G, there's a B here, which is the 5th fret, the same B. It's the same note. Okay? So that is on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. Oh, where's my whammy bar? Here it is. I'm going to need this. Okay? And notice I'm muting all the other strings. But letting that string ring out. That's something you don't get taught either. You got to practice that. Grabbing all the strings but the one you want. And then on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, there's another B. So you got 3 of them. Of course, all the shenanigans has my strings all out of tune. So if I go to the 4th fret of the G string, I've got another B. Okay, well I noticed something. When I whammied down on that on the top one, it went down about a whole step. Okay, let me turn off some of the on this. I'm going to turn off some of the gate because I don't want it to die. All right. Then I noticed that the B string went further down. I'm like, what? That's weird. So it went like. So the E string went down to about A, the B string went down to F sharp, and then the G string went way down. So I go like an octave. I'm like, whoa, that's cool. What if I hit all 3 at the same time? You get all this really cool oscillation between the strings where they're all falling at different rates and they're all just like getting messed up. So that's cool, huh? And you can also go backwards. So if you, and I'm using a volume pedal, by the way. Oh no, actually you don't have to use a volume pedal. I'm just hitting it. You could also, if I use a volume pedal, or I could go backwards, I could push down on the bar, try to get the harmonics to ring out. It's harder this way. But you basically can get there if you kind of time it right. But that's another fun one. Watch. I figured you'd like that one, Watchman. Oh yeah, I can talk about the Jeff Beck thing that I learned from him, and that was he does this thing where he reverses his whammy bar and he hits it. Actually works better on my G&L. Let me pull up the G&L because the whammy bar on that one doesn't go backwards very much, but the whammy bar on this one goes backwards more. And so this. Some of the delay. Yeah, let me just pull out the delay for now so you can, I think you'll hear it better if I don't have the delay on. Oh, I changed guitars, so everybody take a sip. I'm going to take a sip. I'm thirsty. It's got this flutter sound. So it's kind of a cool effect. I have used that one quite a bit. I like to use it in soloing sometimes. I've never broken a string doing it, but you never know. It could happen. All right, so let's see. So that was one that wasn't on my list. 3 Bs, okay. Oh, yeah. Well, Earthquake, you basically did get a gainy sound like Go. You can do motorcycle too. I forgot about motorcycle. It's not on there, but how would I do? See, how do I do motorcycle? Let me get the delay back because that really helps. Delay will sometimes mask issues, and it also will then, if you hit a bad note, it'll make you pay for it for the next couple hundred milliseconds or 1,000 milliseconds or whatever. So motorcycle, like you can, let's see what's it. Let me see. Yeah, it's probably lower. Yeah, so I'm kind of like that. I mean, there are guys that are really good at it. And that's in a song too. I'm trying to think of what song they did that. Dun, 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 dun. Is it in? Dun, 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 dun. I can't think of what song it's in. But basically the idea is to push down the bar, hit a note, and volume pedal. So it's like it's a lot of coordination. It's like being a drummer. You got to get everything working together. And then you go up and you push down and start on a new note like you've changed gears. The idea is that you're creating the sound of changing gears. And you got to do the body language. Anyway. That one's, yeah, so that one's one, let's see, what are some others? Oh, the pinch harmonic. So a pinch harmonic is, Billy Gibbons was probably the first one I ever heard do that. And it's like, what? How's he getting that sound? And of course, he plays with a peso, a coin, but I can do it with pretty much any pick. Let me get rid of the delay. It takes a minute. The pinch harmonic is, and you'll actually see it notated in tablature sometimes. It'll say pinch, or there may be a PH, may stand for pinch harmonic. And basically the idea is you normally use a pick, you're trying to hit the string cleanly. The idea is to really, really, really choke down on the pick so that the pick and the thumb are almost hitting the string at the same time. And you want the pick the string to hit the pick and hit the thumb just a fraction after, The first time you do it, it's an accident. You're trying to get it. It takes a minute, and then you eventually get to. I can do it every note if I want to. I can even do it with a rake. But what it does is, it's a pinch harmonic. It actually creates a tone up an octave. And you can also move. You can get different notes, different strings. Like the G string rings out really good. So. Let's see. Oh, good. Hey, Gary. So that's a pinch harmonic. Another thing that kind of utilizes the, and this was another trick that I came up with on my own, just kind of discovered it. Because I was trying to figure out how Eddie did stuff, and I didn't. Sometimes I would just stumble on it, and sometimes I would stumble on something different. And this was one of those tricks that I actually showed this one to Justin Bieber, because I wanted him to pick up an electric and freak out Dan sometime, because Dan's a really good guitar player, and Dan was his guitar player. I said, hey, Justin, do this. Here's a trick. Learn this. And I showed it to him. I don't know if he ever did it for Dan, but I thought it would be pretty funny. But basically what I'm doing is I'm going to... So I'm basically pulling off fourth fret to 2nd fret to 1st fret, open, sorry. Third finger, I'm using third finger, first finger. Third and first finger on the 4th and 2nd string in an open. That sounds like Blinded by the Light, right? So, so all I'm doing is I'm just, make sure it's not your whole hand, because if you do your whole hand, you won't get any harmonics because you'll be muting those things. I'm just using one finger, but it looks like I'm using my whole hand, but I'm really just using one finger. So what you're doing is just creating a myriad of harmonics. Because like I've said, there's harmonics all over the guitar. And harmonics occur every fraction of the guitar. At the halfway point, at the 1/3 point, at the 1/4 point, at the 1/5 point, at the 1/6, 1/7, 1/8, 1/9, 1/10, 1/11, 1/12. Technically, it keeps going forever and ever and ever. But they get harder and harder to hear because they keep going higher and higher and higher. So for me, they get harder to hear sooner than later. Although if it's loud enough, I can hear it. I don't care how high frequency is. If it's loud enough, I can hear it. I definitely have hearing loss, but if they turn it up high enough, I can hear it. So yeah, the pinch harmonic thing is just really just get that pick and that thumb at the same level and just play with it until you find that sweet spot. And there might be like right here, I think what I'm doing is I'm about 1/4 of the way. So I'm actually creating the harmonic. There's a harmonic there. Sorry, my fingers got bored. My fingers got bored. I'm like, well, I need to do something. And now what I'm doing there is I'm just, instead of picking the string, I'm pushing on the whammy bar to generate string vibration. At the same time, I'm moving my hand. So between the motion of that and the motion of this, you get the two. And again, it's hard to do that with a clean setting. You got to really have a lot of gain and got to be kind of loud. Yeah, bad motor skill. Let's see. And I'm not, I never really got into Eddie. Part of the problem was when he hit the scene. Let's see, I was 17. I was a jazz snob. So not that I didn't appreciate what he was doing. It was more like I couldn't figure out what the heck he was doing. So I just kind of wrote it off. It's a lot like all those fingerstyle guys that do all the crazy stuff with the tunings and the hammering and hitting and playing with two hands on the neck. I'm not even going to try to compete with them. I would have to start guitar all over again, and that would be the way I played for me to be able to compete. It's not a competition, although guitar players are insanely competitive. It's so stupid. It's stupid to be competitive about something like this. But, work is a competitive thing. But guitar playing? I'm faster than he is. So... he makes 80 million a year. What difference does it make? You didn't make $80 this year, and you're faster than John Mayer. Big deal, you know. So yeah, it's just one of those things. It's just naturally kind of, you know, be competitive. But it's just something about the way guitar players are wired. I think it actually motivates us, and I think it's easier to get up to speed and playing in a band playing bass than it is guitar. Keyboard players are almost always nerds and smart and like they're really good at a lot of stuff. Guitar players are good at guitar and probably like nothing else. So, and then drummers, yeah, that's a whole different thing. It's funny that the Muppets had their drummer was Animal. And it's like, yeah, that's a lot of times. I mean, that was based on Keith Moon, right? Oh yeah, no, I remember that. People, Watchman says, I used to be so bad people wouldn't. Some guys would turn their backs to the audience when they were doing one of their tricks. Oh, and I was talking about Eddie Van Halen. Yeah, so I was kind of a jazz snob at that moment. I was really into George Benson, Pat Metheny, Charlie Parker, Wes Montgomery, all that stuff, Coltrane, and which is great. It was a huge, and then I got into classical music when I was in college for my first year and everything. So again, I didn't really get into Van Halen. And then the other thing was there were so many good guitar players that were nailing it, that were figuring out how he was doing stuff, and they were going out and playing. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And I could do the two-handed stuff, but I've always did it wrong. Never saw, let's see, question for Becco Cat and Dennis Pierce. Oh, sorry. No. I'm pretty sure Les Paul, no problem. I can pull up my SG, which has softer pickups than my Les Paul. Let's see how pinch harp. Yeah, because it doesn't. Now I can't do the whammy stuff. See, I'm doing a lot of whammy stuff. That's why I'm not playing the SG. And I have a Les Paul, but I just don't have it out. It's in the closet. I don't think. I mean, I've done a video on it, but yeah, you should be able to do pinch harmonics with a. Yep, no problem. Take a sip. But if I need to grab the whammy bar, I'm going to have to switch guitars again. Yeah, I love this. I just got this. Is like probably my most recent non-Squier electric guitar purchase, and I got it like for $800. It's actually a early '70s SG that's been totally painted over. They're all the same color. They're all the mahogany wood, and it had the tremolo, the Bigsby taken off. So none of it's original. The pickups are not original. But as soon as I picked it up, I started playing it. It actually really sounds really good on like clean sounds, or like if I pulled up that amplitude set. And I'm probably gonna do. Where's the amplitude? Oh, there it is. Let's see. Also, pinch harmonics work better on definitely on the neck of the bridge pickup. Okay, you got that? Who was asking me? So there was two questions, one from B Kitty and one from Dennis. And I saw was it the B Kitty one I answered? Oh, Dennis, you retracted your message. I think you can get, if you're asking about pinch harmonics on acoustic, I think you could totally get pinch harmonics on acoustic. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to try now, but but yeah, I like with a gainier sound for that. And again, that's where you're creating a million harmonics by Yeah, that's just a weird. It's a cool sound. It sounds a lot more complex than it is. It's really pretty simple. It's one of those tricks that you know, most of the tricks are not complicated because you got guys that are practically on, you know, hanging from a wire on a stage in front of thousands, you know, tens of thousands of fans. You know, they're not going to do something. I want to do a video on most difficult lick I've ever tried to learn, and it's one that I invented, and I'm like, it was like. I mean, that's it. And it's like, why did I try to learn this? And why? What is it? You know? And so I got to do a video on this. I'm going to teach how to do the lick. The less important the lick is more the how I got to the lick, which is more important. You know, the story, the lesson that I learned about playing more intervallically is what I was trying to do. I was taking guitar lessons with Carl Verheyen, and he was telling me you got to play more intervals. You can't just do seconds and thirds and you can't just do. You got to try to break it up a little more and have bigger intervals and stuff in your playing. So that wasn't an effort. That lick, it was a byproduct of an effort of trying to do that. And so, yeah, it's totally jacked up. It's totally jacked up. And it's even got two, I don't know if you can see it. It probably was, the pick guard, this pick guard was from a stereo SG. And it was painted black, and they uncovered so I have the date because I got somebody had to file to get to the serial number because they'd covered it up. And they may have done that because it was stolen. A lot of times they'll paint guitars because they steal them and they want to be able to resell them or whatever. And then you can't see the serial number, but I mean, I've had one guitar stolen. It was tragic. That's a tragic story. I think I've told that story to Diane about my Stratocaster that used to belong to Caleb Quay. That was a bummer. It was my Strat. Fortunately, it wasn't borrowed. That would have been really bad. I don't borrow gear, and I don't loan gear. Not anymore. I had a friend that used to borrow my 12-string to do sessions, and I was kind of like, somebody said, "Why are you loaning him to do your 12-string?" You know, it was like a $3,500 12-string. Why are you loaning him your 12-string to do sessions? Just tell him to tell the composer to call you because you have a 12-string. And I went, yeah, well, that's not going to happen. He's not going to give my number to anybody. Yeah, it's all computer. Be kidding. I'm using, basically I got a volume pedal and a compressor on the floor, and I have WAD here, but it's not engaged. And then I'm using, this is, right now, it's stock setting on Guitar Rig, which is Native Instruments. It's the 80s solo patch, which is basically a tube screamer through a cranked Marshall into a control room with a couple different cabinets and microphones, and then a psychedelic delay thing. So yeah, so it's all in the box. 99% of what I do anymore is this way. At church, I use my rig, my Lexicon rig, which I love, but I stopped using it in the studio because there was setup issues. I would have to use 2 channels because it was stereo, and it had a noise floor that wasn't satisfactory for me. I even have an EQ patch that I created whenever I used my Lexicon rig. I had to load this EQ patch that would have certain frequencies notched out so the noise floor would go down a little bit. But yeah, it's definitely a unique guitar. The thing I like about it, for one thing, these are, what kind of pickups are these? Antiquities. These are Seymour Duncan Antiquities, which are really nice sounding pickups. They sound really good clean, and they also sound good slightly crunchy. I mean, they're great gainy, but pickups all sound the same gainy in my opinion. I don't know. That could be any pickup right there. And the other thing I like about it is that the body's thinner, so it's got a little bit of a more transparent, thinner, not as heavy sound as a Les Paul. And it feels that way when you play it. And the range on an SG is so great because I have 22 frets, right? Yeah. Yeah, so I have 22 frets, but I have equal access to it. So it's you know, almost like playing a Strat, and the thumb can get over the top. So it's just, I feel like it's it's a really good. I never owned a SG before. This is the first one I've ever had. Oh yeah, I was going to talk about Eddie. So when I started doing the tapping thing, I did it wrong. And by wrong, I mean I used the wrong finger. On my first finger, I would use. I would use my first finger, and I realized later that most players, what they do is they would hold the pick with their first finger, and they would use their second finger. And it just feels so wrong to me. I feel it hurts. I don't have any callus there, and it feels too fat. Like it hits the other strings when I want to. So I always kind of. You remember, you know, I've talked about this a lot, where I'll have a pick in my hand even if I'm doing finger picking. Even if I'm doing finger picking things. So I'm used to having a pick in my hand no matter what I'm doing. So it really doesn't matter to me if I'm using my first finger, or, you know, it's better for me to use my first finger is what I'm saying. Sorry. Okay. So let me show. So the right-handed thing, I mean, the first time I ever heard it was not Eddie Van Halen. It was on Steely Dan. And I went, oh, I know what he did there. Oh, that's a cool idea. I never thought of that. Was Larry Carlton on Kid Charlemagne. You know, at one point he goes like that. It was like, what? Wait, I know. Or no, it was like, or whatever. You know, he bent up. And so that was an LA trick thing. That was an LA session guy thing. Lukather did it, but that was right around Van Halen time. But I even think I remember Rittenauer doing it. So it was a thing where you would bend up, like, so you had to add, if you're bending up a whole step, you have to add 2 frets to whatever note you're hitting. So if I bend up from the 7th fret to the 9th fret, and I want an A note, I can't hit A because that's going to be B because the string is bent up. So I have to hit G, and now it's going to be A. And you can also bend it down there. Or you can pull off. You can also hit the note. Like that kind of thing. I mean, there's all sorts of cool tricks you can do. Never got good at the 2-hand thing. There was a guy, was it Michael D'Angelo in LA that was like, he actually had 2 guitar necks going 2 different directions, and he'd play like this, and it was like, you know, and that was the other thing. I wasn't doing a lot of session work. I was lucky to get 1 session every 6 months when I first got here, but very rarely, if ever, no one asked me to play like Eddie Van Halen. It was kind of like, and that was in spite of the fact that Beat It was really big. Beat It was a smash in the Eddie Van Halen. So when I have a friend that still makes fun of me, he's like, have you learned the solo to Beat It yet? You know, because I could never play it quite right. And I've seen little kids do it, you know. I'm like, damn it, I can't play it. Yeah, I use all Apple stuff, sorry. And then, let's see, I'm using, Logic, but Logic is my DAW, and then the amp rig, I'm using Guitar Rig from Native Instruments. And you can buy, you don't have to buy Native Instruments complete to get it. You can just buy a Guitar Rig, and it's great. But I'm also going to be downloading some updates for, not that I'm getting tired of it, but I don't really like the amp sounds in Logic. They have a whole amp thing. You could experiment with that. And they've probably really upgraded it a lot in the last update, but I don't even experiment with those anymore. I really like Guitar Rig, and then I'm going to start using Amplitude maybe a little bit more once I download a bunch of new pedals. I have to just download it. So I have to email them and let them know I'm going to do that. They were going to give me stuff, but I'm kind of like, I think it was like $99. I'm not going to let them give me a $99 software. I'm going to pay for it because otherwise I may have some obligations that I may not want the pressure to fulfill. And the other thing is, if they're good at what they do, they deserve to get paid for it. And I'm happy to promote their material. And if they help me by promoting me, a few people have gotten connected to my YouTube channel because I did some video or two videos for Elixir, and they posted up there, and then people would look me up. And so, I'm happy to generally help out products I like. I do get some free stuff every now and then, but I hate to, I don't generally like to do that. Hero, that's a great, the strap pin is right here. And my strap for this is hanging up. It is a little bit neck heavy, yes. And the trick with that is to go ahead. I have a standard, I think a 2-inch strap, but you could get a 3-inch strap, and that will create enough friction across your shirt and your body to keep it from dropping. Okay, that's one of the little tricks. If you use a little skinny string strap or one of those little 1/2-inch leather ones or whatever, you'll find that your guitar is always doing this. And I find that if I need to, I don't know if I have any guitars I really need, because I'm sitting down when I'm playing mostly. I've brought this to church. I didn't notice it was unusually neck heavy, but because the strap pin is way in here, you could see where if I were to try to hold up the guitar there, it's actually still body heavy. Well, no, the cable's in there. Sorry. Let me take the cable out. I hate to, if I could put it on a fulcrum, I don't trust myself holding it. But it still feels, the body feels heavier than the neck. Let me put it that way. So it didn't really feel like to me that it was falling. But the way to test it is just go to a guitar store and pick up a couple. Maybe bring a strap with you or something and throw it on there and see. But one of the tricks you can do, like I said, is get a wide strap. A 3-inch strap is way wide, and that'll create tons of friction, and your guitar won't budge. You may want it to, and you'll be fighting your shirt. You'll be untucking your shirt because you're tugging on your guitar. So. I'm not. How do I get from? I don't go to an amp. These are my studio monitors. I'm not. So I'm using Yamaha studio monitors, and I'm going to. So the signal path that I'm going through actually is quite elaborate in some ways. I'm going from this into a volume pedal, into a compressor, wah, which is not engaged right now, into a. You don't have to do this. You can go straight into a A to D converter. And I have an Apogee Duet, just 2 channels, $600. But Apogee had great sounding A to D converters and D to A converters. So it converts it going to the computer and coming from the computer. But before I go to the Apogee, I'm going through, in fact, I need to do a video on this. I should do a video on this. I need someone like Alex to help me. But I'm going through an API's 512C, which is just a really, really clear, transparent preamp. And I can adjust levels that way. And it works with microphones. It sends, if I want to send 48 volts to a microphone, it'll do that. It's got a pad on it. It's also got a polarity switch on it. And it's got one volume knob. That's kind of a gain knob. And it's got a little meter. So, but those aren't cheap. They're, I think 512s are $800 each. So I have a pair of them. So maybe not that much. Maybe they're more like 700. But I go from that into the Apogee into the Apple via Firewire or whatever I don't know what it's probably just USB. And then out of the computer back into the Apogee, from the Apogee into a splitter that allows me to use headphones or speakers, and into powered Yamaha monitors. I've got the bigger ones, not the small ones. Yeah, I don't have a problem with, I actually don't want to use a tube pre going in. For one thing, tubes degrade over time and you don't notice it. It happens so slowly. And before you know it, you listen to something you recorded this week and you compare it to something you recorded 5 years ago and you go, oh man, what happened to my tone? So that's part of the problem. 850, okay. For one, you just need one. I mean, but you do not need a mic pre to go into Apogee. I did it for a long time without a mic pre, and I've got what's called a lunchbox. So I have several pre's in there. I have a 1073, which is a Neve channel for my microphone for this. So this microphone's going through a Neve channel, And that one was about $900, I think. And then it's not that. It doesn't have to be. And Apogee also makes something called an Uno, and I think they make a guitar cord that plugs in. You can plug it into your computer too, so you could do it that way. I don't know how much. If I didn't use I use the mic pre mainly because for clean sounds. I really want that crystal direct guitar sound. I use it a lot. I did on the ETA, the Bieber song that I wrote with Pooh Bear. That's just going right. That's my $99 Squire right into the API into Logic, and then very little else. I mean, there may be some compression and a little reverb in that. I think I have a little slap on there, just a very quiet delay. If you listen closely, you can kind of hear it on there. I have the gain sound up. But yeah. So like, oh, I forgot I got the delay on for the Philip Church thing. It's very gainy because these pickups are much hotter than that's the thing I like about the crappy Squire Strats is that the pickups. Gosh, I'm trying to get the windows up. Sorry. There we go. The pickups are so quiet. Yeah, I mean, technically mine's a 1073 clone. It's the BAE 1073 clone. So yeah, I'm not using an actual 1073. I could have bought one. I don't want an actual one because they're old. I want something new that I know that I'm not gonna have to mess with. And I don't know. There may be and I do have a tube mic. I have a GT a Groove Tube mic preamp that has a tube in it that I use for singers when they come here. This guitar does not have that sound at all. So, yeah. So, and it's dangerous. There's so many addictions, like the pedal addiction. I've got a friend that's got probably 600 pedals, and it's crazy. I did a series on my neighbor's pedals that you can watch on my YouTube channel where my neighbor just had an addiction. He was buying pedals and he never even used them once. And so he would loan them to me and then I'd plug them in and he'd sell them to me for like half of what he paid for them. And I'd plug in, it's me plugging the pedals in going, oh, let's see what this does. And so it's just me discovering the pedal live. I think the camera is facing down on the pedal and I'm just tweaking knobs. I get a couple negative comments because people are like, well, you don't know what you're doing with that pedal. And it's like, yeah, that's the whole point. I don't know what I'm doing with this pedal. It's kind of funny. And, Black Lion Audio makes a great clock. Oh, I'm pretty. Oh, that's great. I've not heard of them. So, but for a while there, I was buying a lot of pedals, but I was doing it back when the internet was kind of brand new, late 90s. And, I was going to American Musical Supply, AMS, and they would have sale pages, and they did a thing where they blew out Akai pedals for like $10 each. I kid you not. These were like $200 pedals, and nobody wanted them. And so I'm like, I have no idea if I'll ever use this, but I bought a couple of them. I got my neighbor he bought a couple of them too. And I wish I just bought them all. I don't know why I didn't, but I just didn't. Maybe some of them were like 40 or something. I was like, no, too much. So I would oftentimes go to the clearance section of websites and try to find pedals that like, and that's kind of how I discovered a pedal that I use a lot. And it's funny because they'll discontinue them. Let's see, where is it? But I've got like 5 of them now, just because. But this thing is amazing. And it's $49, but every now and then they'll discontinue them. You'll see my reverb for $500. I'm never going to sell them, but they're made of plastic. That's why I bought so many, because I was afraid because I have one on my stage rig, my live rig, and I was afraid if I getting excited in a gig or hitting it too hard or whatever, because I use it kind of like a whammy pedal, but sometimes I do use it for octave up, kind of like a Pog or octave down, or you can control the speed. It all is a harmonizer. It's a smart harmonizer. You can pick the key. It's insane for $50. I mean, I don't know how they do it, but it's a Behringer Ultra Shifter Harmonist US 600. Maybe I'll put a link on this page so you can go find if they're available. But I've got a lot of Boss pedals. I've got a ton of these old Ibanez pedals, and but I'm not like pedal crazy. But the other thing and Watchman, you can probably vouch for me here, is you can get crazy with mic pre's. Like guys that I know, they get hooked on mic pre's, and before you know, they've got what lunch boxes are these things, these powered boxes. That's all they are. Is just a box with a bunch of slots for what's called 500 series preamps. And so you buy a 500 series preamp, you put in there, and I've got a box that holds 6, and I've only got 3. So I haven't gone crazy. I only need 2 channels, but I've got 2 for. Oh, you know what? I have heard of Blackline now that you mentioned Mutt Lange's involvement. Yeah, I think I saw them on where I usually buy most of this kind of stuff. My mics and things like that I buy from Vintage King here in LA. But I've got two 512s and one 1073 clone. And then, but some people get addicted to those. The other thing that people, what's the other thing? There was something else I was thinking about when I thought about interfaces that I know people kind of go crazy and buying everyone, It's got such a sweet mellow sound. Yeah, I'm not as geeky as you are, Watchman. I usually just go with something that's highly recommended and I buy it. Microphones, I'm actually looking at one that I want to get, the Chandler Red, which is a really nice microphone. I saw it at the NAMM show. And the cool thing about that one, Watchman, is that we're getting geeky here, but it's a big microphone, but has a Chandler mic pre in the microphone mounted. The capsule is mounted to the mic pre. Which means that you're not going through any cabling to get to your mic pre. And the immediacy on that mic. Now, the downside is you can't change mic pre's. I mean, you could. It has some settings on it. I guess you could probably have it taken out and put a different one in maybe, or you might be able to bypass it and go to another mic pre. But that microphone, the immediacy of it, I haven't really worked with it with acoustic guitar yet, but, it's story time. Do I have a story? Was there a story I was supposed to tell, Diane? I told the story. You guys did. I told the story about. Hey, Chris. I told the story about my Stratocaster being stolen, right? Did I tell you about that? I mean, I know. We were talking about clubs the other day, and I mentioned that, but I don't know. Did I tell the whole story? Does anybody remember? Okay, so I really didn't have, when I moved to LA, one of the things you can kind of divide, with one thing, if you're going to be an LA session guitar player, you better have a lot of gear. That's just a given. Okay, so, you have to, and I didn't really understand that too much. I had a classical guitar. I didn't have a steel string guitar. I remember doing a session and they asked me to bring a steel string guitar and I had to borrow one from a student. I had to borrow a Les Paul from a student. one time because they said, "Oh, do you have a Les Paul?" And I said, "Yeah," and I called my friend and said, "Can I borrow your Les Paul?" And he was totally like, "Totally." Um, I mean, I really didn't have any gear when I moved to LA. I had a pretty crappy amp, virtually no pedals. My electric guitars were, I had a GNL, which was kind of my Strat. It was it wasn't an S500. I forget what it was now. I can't remember. I got an S500 later, and then I regretted it. Got rid of it. But shoot, I can't remember the model. It had two humbuckers in it, but they had coil taps on it. I had my Ibanez 175 copy and my Ibanez 335 copy, and a classical guitar. So that I had four guitars when I moved to LA, one amp. What I did have was pretty good reading skills, some different stylistic things, but really, to be honest, I had no right moving here. So my best asset was probably my cluelessness. Truthfully, that my stupidity was my best asset. I often tell people I intentionally gave myself nothing to fall back on. So I either had to make it playing guitar or I wasn't going to survive. You do what you got to do. Would I consider designing stuff like picks? Yes. Oh, yes. See, so Chris, you heard this story. Tell my friends, all of you. Yeah, all you have less, and I don't have the keychain with me. Yeah, that's right. So I did tell this story because I referenced it earlier today, and I was like, oh, did I ever tell you about that? So let me see if I can think of another one. Because then I met Caleb, and he says, you don't want me to tell you the songs that I played that on what records I played that. I said, no, I don't want to know. And the sad thing is the person that stole it has no idea. But it belonged to Caleb Quay, who was a childhood friend of Elton John's and played guitar in his band for the first few albums. And played with Hall & Oates and everything too. And he'd become a pastor and still played music. Great guitar player. But he was getting rid of gear. And I don't know if it's because he needed money. And he sold the Strat to a student of his. And then that student sold it to me. And I got that and a 4-track reel-to-reel for $800. And he went out and bought a Michael Jackson coat, the red Michael Jackson leather jacket that he wore in the Thriller video. And the friend that I bought the guitar from, he wore that jacket once and never wore it again. It was like, he goes, it was the stupidest purchase he ever made. And he wishes he still had that Strat. And I said, well, I kind of wish you had it too, because it would still be in the family at least. But the person that stole it had no idea. And the other thing that sucked, Chris, was that, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but my Wayfarers were in there. I had no money. And my Wayfarer glasses were in there. So they stole that and they had my Wayfarers. And I thought my band was playing a joke on me because I used to always hide the drummer's snare drum. So I thought he was just hiding my guitar to play a joke on me. So that's why I didn't react at first when I didn't see my guitar sitting there. I just thought, oh, Scott grabbed it. And let's see. So I need another story. You're asking, would I consider designing a guitar pick? I don't know. I've never really thought about it. Would I design a custom guitar? If Fender came to me and asked me what would be my ultimate guitar, I would tell them, you're Squires. And they would be like, damn it. In fact, we should do a Tom Strahle edition Squire, and they could add $20 to the price and charge $119 instead of $99 for them or something like that. That'd be hilarious. But then I would feel like that guy that did the flamenco guitar lessons that sold the guitar kit for $100 or whatever. And those are the crappiest guitars. I really don't want to have my name associated with. I like crappy guitars sometimes. Not always, but sometimes. Let's see. What else? Let's see. Did I share the story about how Diane, you're the story time arbiter here. The problem is the serial number's nowhere on the guitar, and by now that happened in 1984. So that by now that guitar is totally. I'm sure it's been modded. It's been Caleb had done something with it when he had it, or maybe no, maybe Andy did it. The guy that I bought it from, he had the pickups waxed. Oh, I used. Did you see the air quotes earlier? Yeah, my wife. The best story about when I asked her out on our first date. Okay, another sip there. That's one of the rules. If I use air quotes, we have to take sips. Drinking game. Drinking game rules. But yeah, so I don't understand. I don't know what that meant. The pickups being waxed, but my understanding, my thinking in my head was that they took the pickups and they dipped them in wax, and so that they wouldn't hum as much or feedback as much. And I have one recording on a cassette tape somewhere of that guitar where I did like a direct guitar solo, and it was the glassiest sounding guitar. I think it's part of the reason why I really like Squiers is because of the low output pickups. Really, when you put them out of phase, just have this glassy sound that more modern Strats today just won't get. Everybody likes hot pickups in their guitars. So, oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, I'll see if that's an option. That would be kind of fun. I could do. Where's I could do this logo or something that Emma, my daughter, drew. That would be kind of cool. Don't fret on a pick. That'd be kind of fun. My son designed pics, Alex designed pics, but I can't show them to you. Because then it's not a family channel anymore. So let's just say he signs his name in a manner that makes the letter A look like something. And it makes him look like a 13-year-old boy is what it makes him look like. So when I met Beth, through Campus Crusade for Christ. She was on staff with Crusade. I was kind of a trainer that was training all the guitar players that came through the music ministry that was based in Pasadena. In fact, my roommate worked at the office, and so that's how I got connected. And so every year they would have a new group of people, 10 to 15 people come through. And there'd be 3 or 4 guitar players and a bass player or something, and they would all take lessons from me. So it was a great source of consistent, for about 6 months out of the year, I'd have consistent income. I did that for a couple years, and then the third year is when Beth came through. I think I did that in 83, 84, 85, and then the next year, 86. Beth came through with a group of people. And again, it was like 15 people, maybe 12. And she was the last one there. You basically showed up once you raised all your support, because it's a missionary organization. So you have to raise support from churches and friends and family and stuff like that. It's kind of a pain, but it's how most missionaries make a living, is by raising support from friends and family. And it really wasn't. I mean, they lived on nothing. It's amazing. And so she shows up after everyone else did in Pasadena. She's coming from Indiana, where I'm from as well. And she missed all of the kind of sightseeing things that everybody else got to do, because she was late. And by the time she showed up, she had to get right to work. So, which was fine. I don't think she really cared that much. So she missed that, and I met her one day there when I went into the office, and she's cute, and I was like, oh, she's cute. And then went out to dinner one night with a group of people, and she was wearing a Butler University sweatshirt. And I said, Butler University? Did you go to Butler? She goes, yeah. And I said, I went to Butler. And she's like, yeah, sure you did. She's all like, that's a line. And so I bet that Silvertone amp is cool, Chris. Or Silvertone guitar is cool. I love where is it? Oh, it's over here. I'm like, oh no. My Harmony Bobcats are really, really cool. So anyway, we go out to dinner, we're out to dinner with a big group of people, and she's like thinking, oh, this was back when I had been at Butler, just a few years prior. And so I knew a couple names of some of the buildings. There's a bell tower there, and the Cluse Hall is where the concert hall was. And so I knew the names. So she went, Oh, you really did go there. And I went there in 79, 80, and she showed up 80, 81. And I was still there 80, 81, but we were not running the same circles, and I was just taking a couple classes. So I would have never, ever met her there, even though it was a very, very small school. Anyway, so that, so then I got to, hanging out with everybody. I got to know everybody, and she was nice. And John Mellencamp was coming to town, and it was playing at the Forum, the Inglewood Forum. And I called Toby, the bass player, and I said, Toby, when you're in town, can you get me a couple tickets? And he said, sure, I'll put them in will call. I'm like, great. Toby was the bass player for Mellencamp, and I knew him kind of. He was the bass player for Roadmaster. That's where Mellencamp got him. And so I thought, well, who should I take? Because I didn't have a girlfriend or anything at the time. And I thought, what would be fun is Beth is from Indiana. I'm sure she likes John Mellencamp music, so I'll ask her. So I go to church with Sunday night service. I see her sitting down there with a guy who I didn't know she was dating at the time. And she says to this day they weren't dating. They were just kind of friends. He thought they were dating. But I went up to her and I said, hey, I got a couple tickets. Would you be interested in going to see John Mellencamp? And this is before the service started. And she looked at me and she says, oh, yeah, sure, that sounds fun. Let us know. And I was like, oh, no. I just offered my tickets to her and this guy that she's sitting with. And so she was, and so I kind of went away. It was like, dang it. And I was talking to my friend. We had a mutual friend, Fernando Ortega, who went through the training center. He's a great singer. I don't know if you know who he is. A great singer and arranger and songwriter. And I've known him we've been friends since the year before I met Beth, so 85. And so he was still in Pasadena. We were still best friends. We're still working out. We go to the gym together and working out. I said, dang it. I went to ask Beth if she wanted to go see the John Mellencamp show. And again, I wasn't thinking date. I was just thinking, let's go and, you would have fun. I wasn't thinking about her in that way, really. And she missed out on stuff. And I thought, oh, well, she would enjoy it because she's from Indiana too. So, and Fernando said, you're kidding, So he talked to Beth and Beth said, it's kind of like junior high, hey, can you talk to Beth for me? Because I was afraid to say anything. And Fernando talked to Beth and she was like, are you kidding? He really was asking me to go to the concert. And she was like, I'd much rather go with Tom than with this other guy who will remain nameless. Though I did write a song about him for the kids that they used to love me to sing. It was pretty funny. And so she said, yeah, tell Tom I'll go. And so that was the concert was a Saturday night. Well, Friday night I go to one of my best friend's wedding. And he had a friend, his wife, fiance and wife's friend, I'd been crushing on for months. And she used to come to our shows when we did gigs and things like that. And she was one of the bridesmaids. And I was playing guitar at the wedding. And this was Friday night before the Mellencamp concert. And you know how it is at weddings. It's real easy to connect at weddings. So we had a romantic encounter that night of my friend. Nothing like nothing I could get in trouble for, but we made out. Let's say that we made out, and it was like, oh, cool. I've got a relationship with this girl I've been crushing on for a few months, and so that was on my mind. The next night when I take Beth out, I go pick her up. We go down to the Forum, and we go down there. We get to will call, and there were no tickets there. And I'm like, well, probably they haven't shown up yet. The band's still at the hotel or something. So there was a sushi restaurant across the street from the Forum, and I said, she's never had sushi before, so how about if let's go there to eat, and then, because I was thinking we'd pick up the tickets and go to eat anyway. And so we went across the street, had sushi, went back to the Forum, and still no tickets. So Toby wasn't as good a friend as I thought he was. But also at the time, I found out later he was a heroin addict, so that's probably more to blame than anything. I've seen him since. We're Facebook friends, and I know he doesn't think ill of me, but he probably just was like, who? So, Diane, you can make note of the time I did actually see John Mellencamp, and I'll tell that story. That one's pretty funny. It's got a couple funny bits in it too. So anyway, so we go to the forum, no tickets. Go to dinner, come back to the forum, no tickets. And I'm like, oh shoot. Okay, well this is kind of embarrassing. I'm sorry, but Beth is so cool. She was like, no, don't worry about it. You know, it's not your fault. And I'm like, sorry, I'm so embarrassed. And she goes, no, don't worry about it. So I said, well, here's what we'll do. Let's go downtown LA and let's go at the top of the Bonaventure. At the time, LA didn't have as many skyscrapers as it has now. It was just shortly before that they allowed you to build buildings, you know, and that were taller than City Hall. And so the top of the Bonaventure has a bar and a restaurant that rotates, and I think it's one rotation every hour. So we went up there and got $8 Cokes, which were at the time very expensive, and did one rotation. I remember they were in glass boots for some reason. So we sat up there, did one rotation. Talked, and of course, all I talked about was this girl that I met the night before. so Beth is thinking, I like a guy, and someone else got to him. And I don't know if this is a great story or not, but oh no, hey, Mister, you're at story time now. I'm over 2 hours, and I'm telling this. Oh my gosh, I'm so lame. Okay, So then we go to, so here's what I used to do when people would visit LA for the first time. I would go to Hollywood and take them on Sunset Boulevard all the way to the beach and then to Malibu. So basically what you're doing when you go on Sunset through Hollywood, actually I'd go Hollywood Boulevard, which everybody wants to drive, and then Hollywood ends at La Brea, and then you take La Brea down just a couple blocks and you're at Sunset. And you take Sunset through Hollywood, and then West Hollywood, you go by all the places like the Roxy and the Rainbow Club, and all those kind of places are all there. You got the giant billboards and all that stuff, the Marlboro Man billboard. The original Marlboro Man was my great uncle, by the way. Died of cancer, lung cancer. And then it kind of winds around through after West Hollywood. It ends up in Beverly Hills, then Bel Air, then Brentwood, and then it ends at the PCH right at Gladstone's, which is a seafood restaurant. Tees into the PCH, and there's Gladstone's, and you could sit on the beach and have, you know, lobster or steak or, you know, fish, seafood. It's a great restaurant. It's a great restaurant for people that come to LA for the first time. And you got great views of the beach. You're on the water, all that kind of stuff. So, and then what I did is instead of, we didn't go to Gladstone's, we went up the coast and we went to Malibu, and we sat on rocks and we talked till like 2 or 3 in the morning about this girl. So that was our first date. Take a sip. That's an air quote there. Yes, I do. Yeah, I did do the outside elevator. Yeah, it's pretty creepy. It's crazy. The outside elevator on the yeah, it is. Heck, I've been on the plexiglass floor on the CN Tower, which is the highest thing in Canada. I had a heart attack. I swear that was like I could step out and that's it. That's all I got. You know, I couldn't stand on it. That was crazy. Big sip. So so that was the story of our first date. That really wasn't the first date, but we kept hanging out. And I'll tell you the event that happened that changed my it's one of those things that a switch has to be switched. If you're not immediately attracted, and she wasn't unattractive. It was just that like I said, I had someone else on my mind at the time. And Beth came over with another girl from Crusade, and they were, because I had a pool at the house I was renting. I was one of the guys that renting a room at this house, and a bunch of Christian guys. And Beth and this other girl came over, and they were swimming. And my friend, one of my bandmates, was over. His name was Eric, and he saw Beth, and he goes, "She's cute." And I looked at her, and that was the first time I looked at her in that way. It was more like, wait, I saw her first. She's mine. And that was the first moment I actually saw her that way. It's really funny. It was like, it almost was like Beth could have put him up to it. But she didn't. She had no idea. So, yeah, isn't that funny? My dad was horribly afraid of heights. Really bad. And here's the fear. I have it too. I have a respect for heights. The fear isn't that I'm going to fall. The fear is that I'm going to jump. That's the fear. I don't know why. I'm not afraid of falling. I'm afraid of jumping. I'm afraid I'm going to just run and jump. Like I can't control myself. I don't know why, but so I don't like to be up on heights if I don't have to. I just touch my face so we can take another sip if you have it. So anyway, this is a weird lesson, a weird story, but that was how Beth and I first kind of started dating, and then after that, it was history. We got engaged pretty darn quick. There was two switches thrown. Okay, Beth never wanted to get married. She just thought she would never get married. She goes, I'm a loner. I don't want to be tied to anyone. But I changed her mind. And 33 years later, I think she's fine with the decision. But there were two events. One was my friend saying, "Hey, she's kind of cute." The other one was we went to a funeral of a woman that died young. She was married. They had two little kids. And we go to this funeral. It was a staff member on church, and they were, and the poor guy. So we went to this funeral. It was very sad. And I'm sitting there at the funeral, and I'm realizing that I don't know if I could live at all if I didn't have Beth with me. And it was at that moment that I realized I needed to make this thing permanent. If that makes sense? You know what I mean? It was like this thing where when you're dating, you kind of don't think about losing the person. But then when you think about losing somebody, then that's when you're like, wait, I don't want to lose this person. So how can I guarantee it? If you're already married, that's not, but if you're just dating, you're not engaged or anything, you gotta solidify this thing with a contract. So anyway, weird is good today. Well, I'm glad, Charlie. Yeah, my wife is a saint. She told us that. Oh, and she likes to laugh, and we have way too much fun. So, yeah, you fear the going splat. Yeah, it's over very quick, I'm sure, but I don't want to. That moment of. Yeah, before that happens, that's the bad thing. So yeah, let's not end with that. Okay, so so what was the story? So Diane's got a story that I think for Wednesday, and we're going to start talking about the pentatonic shape. So we're going to learn the first pentatonic shape, and then maybe some licks with it. I'm sure we did it kind of in the original thing, but this will be more specifically. I'll call it probably the 5 pentatonic shapes. Okay, and then. Hopefully I'll get another video done this week if I have time. Right now my week is wide open. But I worked a lot yesterday. And so I didn't have anything booked in the morning, and I ended up working all day Sunday. So I never know. In fact, I haven't checked my email or I've got emails. So yeah, there could be some stuff here for me. Oh no. Oh, cool. TikTok's going to increase the monthly publishing thing. That's good. Because my music gets used on TikTok, and I want to get money for it. Not very much, though. They're increasing it from 1.25 million to 3.75 million a year or something, or maybe a quarter. And that's one thing I got to do today. I keep putting off because I've got to go over a red line contract with Universal. So my lawyer redlined it and went through and added all sorts of stuff, and I got to go through and approve everything, and then they got to send it to me. It's the back and forth thing right now. I'm trying to keep it simple, but lawyers never make anything easy. It's like, oh gosh, would you just send me something I can sign without fear? I mean, seriously. So, yeah, yesterday I was working on, well, I did the video, so that was my own busyness. But I did that because I didn't have anything else going on. And then I did some, and I know what I got to do. I got to create some hooks for a producer. I told him I would. So, and in that scenario, just so you know, when somebody asks for hooks, I don't go through hard drives looking for old hooks that I haven't sent anybody. No, that's too much work. It's easier to just sit down and kind of try to come up with something new. I like that because then it's fresh. I'll probably create two, like an acoustic and an electric hook, 2 different hooks for them. And now that I'm creating hooks, in my head, I'm hoping, and I'm seeing it happen. I'm hoping that more and more pop songs are more deliberate about A and B sections harmonically, rather than just being the same 4-bar or 4-chord hook loop over and over again. back when I first started writing in pop about 10 years ago, that was kind of how things were done. And you just, you give them a good 4-bar hook and they can build on it. But I'm more interested in trying to, push things back into kind of more the, I don't want to say AABA form because that's very old form, but, delineated verses and choruses and bridges and things like that. And I see that trending, especially with the COVID thing. I think people are kind of getting back to like more basic songwriting chops. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully I had 3 songs out this year that have come out on record. So for me, the pop stuff is always icing on the cake compared to the sessions and the TV stuff. But who knows? That could all flip and it could be the other way around. I don't know. We'll see. That's kind of why I'm signing this deal with Universal, though, because there's a lot of money I can't collect myself. And when you got a song on a new Bieber record, you gotta make sure that you've got all the tools at your disposal. And they're giving me a great deal. Even the lawyer was like, we usually have to ask for this, but they just offered it to you. I went, yeah, Michael's a nice guy and he likes me. So he's the head of the whole, he's the boss, he's the president. So for some reason I made a love connection and so it benefits. That's, I wasn't asking for anything. I just said, I want to do a deal with you. And he was like, they didn't have to come after me. I went after them. And he was like, let's do it. So anyway, okay, let's not talk about falling. So falling head over heels in love with your significant other is all we should be talking about. So, yeah, my wife is a saint, but she would say the same thing about me. I don't know. Yep, you guys, I'll see you on Wednesday. This is the longest one I think I've ever done. I'm so embarrassed. And we're down to 29, but we peaked at quite a while ago at 43, which is pretty cool. That's good. Hopefully my new video will get some spins. I don't know. We'll see. I wish the John Lennon one would get more. Please promote it if you can. If you have any forums or don't forget to hit the like on this. If you have any forums that you're part of, like acoustic guitar forums or, feel free to promote my videos. That's a lot of times where I get a lot of my new subscribers. Even on Reddit forums, if you can. I don't know. I think I can't promote my own videos, but I think other people can. Or something like that. I don't know. I don't know how that works. I'm not really hip on Reddit or 4chan. But I know I went from 800 subscribers to 1,200 subscribers because one person promoted me on Reddit. And that happened in one day. And that was pretty crazy. That was really cool. I was blown away by that. I need to do an AMA on Reddit. I need to set that up. And I need someone to kind of walk me through it. And then we'll see if anybody really wants to ask me anything. You get some pretty snarky questions, but anyway, that's so. Anything you can do, I would love to, because my view count's been falling, and I think it's just because that my biggest video, which is the 7 tips for older beginners, is now starting to fall out of favor with YouTube. Like they're promoting it less and less and less, and for a while there it was 75% of my views, and now it's down more like 60% of my views, and at some point it could be 5% of my views. It's still a really popular video. And I put, sometimes, because you have cards in those videos, I can change that card and I can put my newest video. In fact, I should probably put the John Lennon video in the card in that video. But at the end of the video is my, it'll always say, oh, here's one might interest you too that's one of mine. But people don't usually stick around to the end. So the cards are nice because you can put them at the front. So I may do that right now, is take that John Lennon video and put that in the 7 tips and see if I can get any more views on it. Anyway, thank you, Leo. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for giving me someone to talk to, being cooped up like this. And then we'll do some more. We're going to do pentatonics. We're going to start pentatonics. This could be, I could see making this 10 lessons easy if we do 1 lesson per pentatonic shape, and then I do the blues versions of each pentatonic shape. Okay? Keith, thank you for watching. Leo, B Kitty, Bruce, Hook's gone, I think. Diane, thank you for the story. So you're going to help me remember the other Mellencamp story. So the first time I saw him. You can share that. All right, everybody's leaving. I'll see you later. Bye.